Hey, my friends at Guidepost. This is Karen Kingsbury, and it's so good to see you here. My newest book came out in October, and it's called The Bridge. It's probably one of my favorite books that I've written. It's a love story, and it is set against the backdrop of second chances. I sort of feel like in this time in our culture we're struggling economically, socially, politically, and we need a reason to believe. And for me, The Bridge is maybe one of my most anticipated books, and I really think it's because it's giving people a chance to hope again. The Bridge is about a couple, Charlie and Donna Barton, who run a bookstore called The Bridge in downtown Franklin, Tennessee. Only now the Bridge is facing closure, like so many bookstores across our nation. And then there's another couple, Molly and Ryan, and they've been separated for 7 years. But long ago they met at the Bridge bookstore, and that's where they connected. It's where they looked at the classics, the books that brought them together. But circumstances and events took them apart, and now they both wish that they would have said something about how they felt for each other. And it really isn't until a tragedy happens with Charlie Barton that all things begin to change and move, and a second chance begins to come to life. Really, what's happened is a 100-year flood has come through Nashville, Tennessee, and it has wiped out this bookstore. So while Charlie Barton, the bookstore owner, was facing trouble and financial difficulty anyway, now he has no stock. His books are gone, and he has an empty shell of a store, and he's facing the end of his dream. And when people in that town begin to get word that Charlie Barton is facing closure and the Bridge bookstore may not be there, they come together and they bring boxes of books, old books, books that they in some cases had actually purchased at the Bridge. And the books begin to pile up at the hospital room where Charlie Barton lays in the middle of a tragedy of his own life. And it is the most beautiful picture of selflessness and of giving and of loving others during Christmas. And that's what makes The Bridge so special. In The Bridge, we really see God working in mysterious ways all through the story. It's one of those where not every character has a strong faith. Molly is discouraged about where God might have been in her life when different events happen. And Ryan, though he still believes, is really kind of puzzled because things didn't work out the way he expected either. And I think it's important for us to see characters that are real that way, characters that definitely have struggled and have questions about God, and to then start to see little events happen, little moments, a special chance meeting with a stranger, and we see that, you know what, God has not forgotten us, and He's still in our story. For me, when I pray, it's like talking to God, and He's my best friend, He's my Lord and my Savior, so it's a lot of hats that God wears in my life. And I'm talking to Him like He's a friend, and I think that's kind of how I see my characters working too. I mean, they may be running away from God, but they still have a conversational relationship with Him. And that plays out in The Bridge. It's a natural part of the story. I sort of feel like all stories, my story, your story, the novels that I write, all have a physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual side. And for me, I just don't cut that out. I include it. And I think as readers, get into my stories, as you've gone through the books that I've written, and as you read The Bridge, you'll find yourself kind of thinking a little more clearly, like, am I really talking to God, or could I maybe do that a little more? And what's He saying in response? And if we listen carefully, God is speaking.